we can immediately come out of suffering if we leave the plane of the body, mind, and senses. If we're suffering, it's our own fault for staying in the dream, recalling the nightmare, thinking about what has happened. It's not important what has happened. What's important is your moment now. And the second thing that's very, very helpful, it was to me, is that if we keep trying, if we're sincerely persevering, making that effort to understand and be awake, that at the end of this lifetime, even if it's the final moment and we say, no, I'm going to be in a state of meditation when death comes. I want to be away from all memory because it's now my habit to go into that state. It's my delight. If you're in that state at the last moment of your life and you've been sincerely trying throughout your life, your next incarnation will be entirely different and better because you will transcend that past incarnation. So the job is to keep trying, not to give up. There will be periods when you'll feel that you've regressed and gone back to old habits and tendencies. Yes, you may have for those days or that month or that year. Come back. Stand up, as you'll hear at the end of this. So even if thou should be the most sinful of all sinners, you will still cross over all evil, all sin, all wrongdoing, out of wisdom alone. The wisdom to know what is real and what is unreal, to know when you're asleep and when you're awake. Yataidansi samidhognir basmasat Arjuna basmasat kurute Jnanagni sarva karmani Jnanagni sarva karmani Basmasat kurute tata Basmasat kurute tata Yataidansi samidhogni Basmasat kurute tata. As the fire turns its fuel to ashes, O Arjun, even so does the fire of wisdom, does truth, turn to ashes all work or all past karmas. Number 38. Jnanena sadrisham Jnanena sadrisham Pavitramiha vidyate Pavitramiha vidyate Tatsvayam yoga sansiddha Tatsvayam yoga sansiddha Kalenatmani vindati Kalenatmani vindati Nahi jnanena sadrisham Pavitramiha vidyate Tatsvayam yoga sansiddha Kalenatmani vindati. There is nothing on earth equal in purity to wisdom. And he or she who becomes perfected by yoga or yoga meditation finds this of himself, in his self, in course of time. Here it says, self-control discovers it to man at last. Yoga meditation, in that state, we become familiar with our true life, with our most exalted state of being. But notice, again, we don't find it through someone else. Our teacher used to say, someone else's resurrection cannot be our resurrection. It has to be our own resurrection. We find it in ourselves in course of time. Self-control means simply to restrain ourselves from going back again to old tendencies which cloud the mind. Here's the warning. But the man or woman who is ignorant, who has no faith, who is of a doubting nature, perishes. By perishes meaning we move back into suffering. For the doubting soul, there is neither this world nor the world beyond, nor any happiness, because we allow the thinking mind or the ego to cast doubt upon the words of the teachers or upon the truth that we have observed for ourselves. We lapse back into the old habit of relying on our ego. And it is the ego that has put us into this difficulty in the first place. We must have a positive basis for our life, an unwavering faith which stands the test of life. It simply means you fall down, you go back to your old way of thinking, recognize that it's the mind, see it each time that it's your mind, our mind, that is causing us this trouble. Each time say to the mind, you're not wanted here. You're not needed here. In fact, I know you. You're the troublemaker. The thinking mind. Number 41, and this time we won't do it together, just line by line, so we can move to the final one.
Yoga sanyasta karmanam. Yoga sanyasta karmanam. Jnana sanchina sanshayam. Jnana sanchina sanshayam. Jnana sanchina sanshayam. Jnana sanchina sanshayam. Atmavantam na karmani. Atmavantam na karmani. Nibadnanti dhananjaya. Nibadnanti dhananjaya.
Actions or works, karmas, do not bind him who has renounced all works by yoga. Meaning, when we renounce all our actions, we turn them over to the universe, not seeking any reward, not accepting any credit, not accepting any blame. Because when we're in a state of yoga or yoga meditation, when we are in the state where we can do no harm because our intentions are not to hurt, when we have destroyed our own doubt by wisdom, when we are ever in possession of our soul, meaning we are in our true form, a winner of work, then a winner of wealth, then anything we do does not come back to be the effect of what we do. We can say anything, we can do anything, but that's the work of destiny or nature, and we do not suffer because of any action or work or karma that we have been involved in. So we have to, the mutual relationship of true work, wisdom and self-discipline is here brought out. It really means that we need never have any guilt about anything that takes place that causes hurt to another, something like that. As an example, many times we're shocked by the hurt we inflict on people we love, and we didn't intend it. But if we are always after truth, always after self-analysis, self-inquiry, in that state of innocence, we recognize that those words had to come, had to be stated. That action had to be there as part of the other's destiny. But if our ego comes in and said, no, he deserved what I said. She deserved that from what she did before. We recognize there's a difference. As soon as you feel pain because you've hurt another, that means you are in your state of wisdom and knowledge, because that's the state of effortless awareness. And then you can do something about it, but not question the reason for that hurt having been inflicted. I have to go into that more. Come back next Saturday, because we're a little late now. But it's a major topic about motivation. What motivated you to speak that way, to act that way? If your motivation was not even there, it just happened without your intention, that's the best. Because that means that was the play of destiny. It had to happen. Don't get me started. I love this topic. Number 42.
Tasmaragyanasambhutam Tasmaragyanasambhutam Hritstam Gyanasinatmana Hritstam Gyanasinatmana Chitvainam sanshayam yogam Chitvainam sanshayam yogam Atishtotishtha bharata Atishtotishtha bharata Atishtotishtha bharata.
And here, Lord Krishna speaks with the authority of the enlightened. Therefore, having cut asunder with the sword of wisdom this doubt in thy heart, Arjuna, that is born of ignorance, resort to yoga, return to yoga, depend on yoga, and stand up. Arjuna is here called upon to perform in that war with the help of knowledge, whether it's better to fight whether it's better to live or to die, whether it's better to fight or abstain, that doubt is the product of ignorance, and that doubt will be destroyed by wisdom. Then he will know what is right for him to do. The people who are in silence, I looked out and I saw they were totally quiet, old friends of mine. They're silent retreat. So I thank you. I'm glad to see all of you. And I will move into the readings right away because we have a lovely concert beginning at 8:30. So I want to make sure I finish these readings. I'm going to start with an excerpt from the Atma Bodh, which Gurji Sri Brahmananda translated and commented upon in his book, Self-Analysis and Self-Knowledge. If you're here this weekend, this entire evening that brought all of you here this weekend, Gurji called it a magnetic attraction, that you don't even know why. You just feel pulled to come to this ashram, I know. And Gurji states right away in this excerpt, whether we know it or not, there is a deep longing. How do we trust what's involved in this faith that's needed to keep us relentlessly going after truth? Someone wrote a very simple question. What is meditation? Because we talk so much about it. What is it? And I've been giving little hints. And sometimes we have to discover for ourselves what meditation is, even though it's the closest friend we have, the state of meditation. Better than sleep, because the effects of meditation are much more long-lasting than sleep. So Gurji starts out by saying, every seeker is eager to realize truth. Of every earnest seeker. In pursuit of truth, people travel far and wide, even in most difficult places and too distant corners of the earth. Yet, this ultimate reality is all around, above, below. It's around us everywhere, all the time. It transcends all dimensions of time and space. But its center of manifestation is within you and me. And yet we run here and there looking for it. The second reading will talk about why, in particular, an ashram like this has this magnetic current drawing you back and back and back. The second reading is about Ramana Maharshi's ashram and what took place after he left his body. It's so similar to what took place here and what is going on presently there and presently here. It's the same story. Supreme reality, supreme consciousness, remains a puzzling mirage to those who seek it by external means. Supreme reality, the truth of our lives, remains a puzzling mirage to those who seek it by external means. Not because it cannot be realized, but because they're seeking in the wrong place, in the wrong manner. A man is called a fool if he searches on the road for something that he lost in his house. And yet modern seekers are making the same mistake by searching for ultimate reality, for truth, in certain places, in certain persons, when they have really lost it from their own minds. This omnipresent reality, present eternally, nothing we have to attain, nothing we have to search for. This omnipresent reality should always be sought within oneself by focusing on that inner sound current, nadam, which is resounding in everyone, and which is imparting electrical, chemical, biochemical, and biological impulses in the deepest part of every cell of the body. Now, when Gurdjieff wrote that, he was assuming that many Westerners were already aware of that inner sound current. And he was shocked. He was very surprised when people came up to him and said, "What kind of current?" I think I have tinnitus. I don't have any sound current. Is it tinnitus? You have tinnitus? Lucky you are. That's not tinnitus. I am doctor. I can tell you that's not tinnitus. If you have operation, you'll only become worse. That sound will really go off if you have operation to remove that sound. He said that is the inner sound current. But many people told him that their minds were too busy, too distracted, too restless, that they weren't quiet enough to hear that sound. So Gurdjieff said, all right, how many of you, when you're meditating, feel a tingling sensation, a vibration in you, like your cells, like your tissues, muscles, organs, everything is doing the dance of the atoms and molecules. So we said, oh, we know that. We tingle when we meditate, sure. He said, anyone not feel that tingling? Many of us were there that night. And one man who was, the devil's advocate, he raised his hand, he said, I don't. He said, no, come up here. Sit down in this chair. I will demonstrate for you how to be aware of tingling sensation. So the man was very pleased to get all this attention, sat in the chair, closed his eyes, and Gurdjieff was a very powerful man. And he went over to him and he went like this, up! But much harder than I did. Because he knew this man. He knew what he was up to. He just wanted to be in the center of attention. And the man turned beet red because he felt that. He said, do you feel vibration now? The man, he says, then you can go. At least we know now you're alive. Because all of you have to feel, when your mind is watchful, that every cell is dancing, vibrating, changing, alive. So instead of having people focus on that inner sound current, the nadam, he would say, some of you, if you're aware of that sound naturally, that's a very good place to focus, because that will intensely bring you into your center of beingness. But if some are not yet aware of it due to restlessness of the mind, then at least pay attention to this tingling pulsation that you feel in the body in different places. That too will remind you of where you really live, of where your true life is. That represents the missing syndrome, what he called the missing syndrome. That's what's missing in our life. We're not pulsating with passion anymore. When you look at any guru, they're so young looking. They're so alive. They're so totally intense about each moment of their life. It's infectious. You can't be around them without feeling their excitement about the slightest change that's going on within you, within the group, within the ashram even. So when he says that we should look for that truth, we should look for that supreme consciousness that we actually feel as our electrical body of energy. That's what's pulsating. We have a physical body, but we have an electrical body too. That electrical body is the one that is more than the physical body because that has an infinite supply of energy. If we don't have energy and you're young, it only means you're operating on nervous energy, not on your infinite supply of energy. You know the difference. When you're happy, excited about life, excited about the new things that are going on, you don't need much sleep. It's only when you're unhappy, when you're focused on the negative things in your life, suddenly you need to sleep all the time because you're so depressed. You can't wait to wake up in the morning hoping that something will take it away. Well, don't rely on the ego, because that's what we're doing. Just learn the art of witnessing, because you cannot be totally in the moment witnessing and at the same time thinking as a judge. You can't be a witness and a judge at the same time. No court would allow that. You're either a witness, just watching as a spectator, or you're a judge, liking, disliking, wanting, not wanting. We've chosen a very hard way to live. There's a much easier way to go about it. So the main message here, which is what I'd be asking you if we were not involved in a silent weekend, is what's the major point being made by Gurdjieff? He said everyone is seeking that truth. Everyone is seeking to go beyond the mental plane on which all suffering occurs. You have water, Irene? Okay. We want to be able to go whenever we like into another dimension where none of this sorrow can touch us. Because this is our old habit, our old tendency to dwell on things past. That's a very bad habit. That's worse than smoking. Who said that? Gurdjieff said it. He said it to me. He said, that's worse than smoking, Jatsaval. You do too much thinking. We are in the habit of thinking. And we have to get out of that habit. To have necessary thinking, but to get out of this habit of dwelling on the emotional past. We don't need that. It interferes with our functioning. So first, Gurdjieff is reminding us every seeker, every earnest seeker is after truth. We may not be aware of it. We are. If you feel something is missing, if you feel a tightness here, it's because we're after truth. We may not be conscious of it, but we are after truth. And secondly, we have this lovely guru who says, take it easy. Don't run around so much. I'm telling you a big secret. Just like Hafiz said, God told a secret. God said there are no sinners. And Gurdjieff is saying, nothing's missing. God isn't missing. Truth isn't missing. God, truth is just misunderstood, but not missing. That's good news. Look a little happy. That's good news. That's not bad news. But we keep, out of force of habit, imagining that the answers are outside, imagining that someone is going to magically wave a wand and take away all my unhappiness. Have we found that to be true? Not at all. That's what we have to see for ourselves. So until a time comes, another Saturday evening, when I'm reading from Gurji's excerpts and we can go into a dialogue together, I'm going to move to the next reading, because in a way, when Gurji is saying that we have to look within ourselves, he says, I'll read the last part again, omnipresent reality or truth should be sought within oneself by concentrating on that inner sound current, or later he said, by concentrating on that inner pulsation, which is resounding in all, which is felt in all, and which is imparting electrical, chemical, biochemical, and biological impulses in the deepest part of every cell of the body. That sound current just accentuates that pulsation. But that sound current sets off those impulses that later he said, jump over the sound current. You don't need to hear that. The pulsations are just the same as sound current. And he knew that the more we stop trying to be aware of the sound current, the more quickly we would be aware of it. The less quickly we would be aware of it. Once we stopped forcing ourselves to focus, to see if it's there, and we took our tension away from it, the mind became quiet very easily, and all of a sudden we said, oh, that sound? I've heard that sound before. That's the sound? Oh, I heard that when I was 10 years old. And then other things came into my life. Now, I started by saying that the second reading caught my attention because we've been so busy in this ashram since Guruji's Mahasamadhi, the time he left his body in 1993, because there was a great fear among many people that this ashram could not be without a guru. Our guru was such a powerful presence, so charismatic, such a draw. But he was saying very odd things to us. He was saying, you will see, big surprise, after I leave my body, more people will come. Many more people will come. And we said, Guruji, don't leave your body, because trust us, not many more people will come. We couldn't believe that. And yet when he did leave his body, 10 years after his stroke, which was a very long time, when he did leave it, we had a similar experience, as you will hear, happened at Ramana Maharshi's ashram. And many people were so concerned because losing this ashram would mean that their entire life would be lost. Because even if they didn't come very often, they knew of the ashram. They counted on the ashram to be there. They counted on the power, the unbelievable bliss they felt when they came here after experiencing some pain in the world. So we kept receiving phone calls. What's going to happen? We said, nothing. It's going on as usual. Same programs, same things. And our guru was very I'm looking for the right word. He was very careful to prepare us years ahead of time, like 20, 30 years ahead of time, to be ready to carry on this ashram after he left his body. How did he prepare us? he would take long trips. He'd be gone a year. Then when he saw that we overcame that fear, he went for 2 years. And then one time, he said, only 1 year I'm going. But it turned out 5.5 years, and he didn't come back for 5.5 years. We thought all kinds of things. We imagined all kinds of things. We felt abandoned. We felt exploited, some of us. We didn't know what to think about a guru who would leave us for 5 years, more than 5 years. Guruji had a plan. He was getting ready for us to experience his formless form, his presence without his physical body. Just as Ramana Maharshi's disciples and students began to experience. And as many of you who've never met him are feeling something here. What draws some of you back? Victoria Bailey, I lost count how many silent retreats you've attended. Bonnie, where's Bonnie? Bonnie, where are you? Bonnie and Gabby. All the Bonnies raised their hand. Bonnie, Gabby, Gabrielle. 6, 7, 8, 9 retreats in a row. Nancy Saraswati, coming in from Syracuse. Friends from Canada, Joanne, Irene. They're coming from all over California to attend these retreats. Why? It's not me. I assure you it's not. I'm all right. I don't get in the way of the retreat. I'm a very good reader. I'm nice company. But that's not the magnetic pull. I know that because every year we go away to California also to give programs and be with our son. And I hear that in our absence, people come to the Cosmic Temple and meditate and attend the Saturday night programs, just as when I'm here. There's something else. Listen to this story. It's an editorial from the Mountain Path, Sri Ramana Ashram newsletter. This is what he said. I was fascinated by it, to see the similarity of this story and our story. The Mahanirvana, meaning when Sri Ramana Maharshi left his body in 1950, left the devotees who surrounded him without the comfort of audible instruction and also of immediate consolation whenever they were in distress. All they had was the published writings, their personal memories and instructions received from the master and the ashram itself to remind them of Ramana's presence. I have a couple of notes in here from people who say, I'm so sorry I miss being in the physical presence of Sri Brahmananda. I feel I missed an amazing force. If it's a force you're missing, you're not missing anything.